G'day, fans. Sorry about that. We had a bit of a freeze up there of our opening sort of like titles there. Probably because this episode of DNA Reviews is looking at the Star Trek series, Starfleet Academy, and it is a very intense episode. Mr. Nick is with me tonight. Full-on stuff, Mr. Nick. What is the deal with that?
Crazy. We've been talking about it for weeks, wondering if something as big as what has happened in this episode is going to happen, and it finally did. And here we are.
Very, very cool. We've got a lot to cover off on this, I've got to say. Now, Nick and I have not discussed our thoughts and opinions on this particular episode, which happens to be Come Let's Away, which I found out today is actually a Shakespearean quote, one of 22 episodes of Star Trek that feature Shakespearean quotes in their titles. And, of course, there will be spoilers, as is our want. We've got to make sure that people know that in advance. So just very quickly, because as I said, we haven't discussed this between the two of us. What were your thoughts, old son?
I liked it. I really did. It sort of had a lot of signposts in it that I thought were going to go off in one direction, and then it didn't. So it sort of kept you on your toes. But yeah, really cool, really great ending, obviously setting up the rest of the season and some stories that I think when we get to it, I'll put my my psychic hat on and go, I can bet you this episode's gonna come up. But yeah, I quite enjoyed this one. It wasn't as strong as some of the previous ones we've had, but it was still a lot of fun and good to see some action finally on screen for a little bit, which we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, it's I actually sort of struggled to work out how I'm going to describe it, but I was actually very impressed. And what I did like about it was the fact that it was very a little bit unpredictable in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of messages in the show that actually relate to the real world. And we're going to come across those as we do. Now, there's a lot of slides, a lot of images to come off. Some of them I'll have to go through pretty quickly, otherwise we'll run out of time. First things first, I'll tell you what. So we start off with Tarima and Mia doing the bizzo, so to speak, doing the funky chicken.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, we've come a long way since the days when Kirk just put on a boot, which is what he did in the original series. And a lot of people said, oh my God, that's so racist, so saucy. And yet in this one, it's like, well, we are getting very, very intimate. And I was trying to think if some of this was inspired by the Andor intimate scenes. The intimate scenes in Andor, which are very sort of cutting edge for at least the Star Wars series. But yeah, they seem to go on for a fair bit. And there you go, Mr. Nick. What a way to start the show.
Yeah, well, look, scenes like this are not really these days anything that people would go, oh my God, that's crazy to see on screen. You know, it happens in a lot of other TV shows, especially those that air on channels like HBO. We get a lot of scenes like that. But for Star Trek, definitely something a little bit new. I think probably there's always been this sort of thing hinted at on screen or something like that. But it was a very elongated sequence that did go for a while, and obviously was there to set up the connection between the two of them, which it's quite interesting to think, is that the way that it happens, I guess, or is that just something that she's got? It's not a thing that the Betazoids obviously do. I can't remember Deanna and Riker ever having a special psychic connection where she can just appear out of nowhere as a ghost. But yeah, no, it played well at the beginning. It obviously is very Star Trek 90210 and is bringing us into a new age of Star Trek.
I agree with Colin. One of the best episodes of the series so far. I did really, really like it. I like that. Yeah, not Game of Thrones, a Game of Treks. It's a good way of looking at it. So just playing through some of the pictures, there's a whole discussion about Deltans that Tarima and Mia are talking about. And for those who don't know, Deltans appeared in the motion picture. That was Ilea. Of course, they have no hair except for their eyebrows. So I thought I'd just clarify that for those who had no idea what a Deltan was, which was particularly cool. And I've got to admit, she talks about her safe place. And one of the things that the series does have is really, really good production values. I actually like this sequence. I really did. This whole place. I mean, that's actually a very, very cool joint. You go, wait, we could imagine hanging out here, being very, very groovy. And this whole particular planet with all these plants and things. But as we see, don't press the button, Mr. Nick, because when you do that, bad shit goes down. And of course, she did that and started tuning into his mind which I thought was very good, and it caused a lot of tension in the sequence between them, because up to that point it was very romantic, and I actually thought it was very handled very well.
It was a great way to progress the story without needless exposition, which a lot of sci-fi shows occasionally fall into the trap of, where they get, two people just explaining it, even though they both already know what's going on. Instead, they're doing it. Two ways of putting that there, but they're showing what is the outcome of the situation, and it did look very cool. They've obviously splashed a lot of cash into this series. So yeah, that really did look really cool, and obviously later on where they show it again, it still looked fantastic.
Yeah, I heard from a cost point of view, it's like millions of dollars an episode. And it's really quite nuts. But I guess that's just the modern way of TV shows and how they're made. So the key thing is we all end up on this big training mission. Okay, so it's a bit of a big deal. We're off to the USS Miyazaki, which apparently there were 3 Miyazakis in the history of Starfleet. So for those who didn't know, this ship only operated for 2 years before the burn. And that's where they're trying to get the singularity drive working. Because it was meant to be an alternative to dilithium, because dilithium was a bit of a shortage at that point. So I really love this imagery. I thought, this is freaking fantastic. I mean, you see the ship outside and all the rest of the lighting, and I thought, mate, that is a very, very cool piece of cinematography, old son. And I like the idea that all the teams are going to work together on this particular mission, go to the ship, get it restored, bloody, bloody, blah. And I thought, at this point, we didn't know what was going to happen. And I thought, that's really groovy. And it was to be taken seriously as well. Okay, no banter between the teams. You're going out, we're mixing up the War College with our heroes. Just get out there, get your shit happening. And that I actually thought was really, really good. Really worked for me.
It definitely explained why they put in the B story in last week's episode that was super weak between the captain of Starfleet Academy and the head of the War College, because it was obvious they needed some sort of device to get the two of them together and sort of not warring anymore. So they wrote that pretty terrible B story last week, had them patch things up, I guess, and now they're, working together simultaneously, and everything's good to go. It's almost as if none of the stuff between the two of them ever happened. They're both on a really good path now. And yeah, that was obviously the reason why they did that last week. So it was good to see that it paid off in some way.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. Yeah, last week it was absolutely atrocious between Aki and the other guy. And this week it's like they're as professional as you can be. Yeah, I hadn't picked up on that. So yeah, well done, dude. So even though, look, I think this is an excellent episode. There's a lot of really cool shit that goes on. But there are moments that pop and you go, oh, hang on. And I couldn't help myself, right? So here we go. So how to save money in not having to build helmets and spacesuits. So they've just invented a new plasma-based life support system. How funky is that? Nice and easy. Press a button. Visual effects kicks in. You cook it on gas. Oh, faster than a speeding ticket. And if I got to hear, why does Sam need one? Right? She's not even organic. She should be able to just walk around like it's nothing. So I tell you what is the deal with that, Mr. Nick?
I think they just keep forgetting that she's a hologram. I think the people writing the episodes are just treating everyone as if they're carbon-based life forms that are human. Like, you've got other characters there that are alien. Yeah. Can you not give one of them a thing of being able to breathe in space or not need to breathe at all? I don't know how that would work, but yeah, it's very funny to see they just keep on forgetting that Sam is a hologram.
Yeah, considering after last week, she says, I don't eat, I don't do this, I don't do that. She wouldn't need it. She'd just be able to just walk around. And they've obviously got the thing about the hollow transmitters. They've just bypassed that. She can just walk around.
Yeah.
No problems. Maybe it's self-induced or something. Who knows? But yeah, I did think that was kind of funny because I thought, what if she's got one? Oh, yeah, sure enough. Presses the button. Yeah, a bit silly. So the whole thing is the guys go to the ship. They've got to try and get it all restored, and there's a bit of a banter. There's a whole lot of banter going on. And they were placing bets. And this worked because in real life, this is what would occur, right? All the heads of the groups, they're all sort of like trading off each other. And this sequence between Thok and Aki, I thought worked really, really well and was really well done. And of course, that was a setup for what was to come. Now, of course, the old classic Star Trek trope is the transporters are offline. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's like they're so unreliable, it's not funny. Although, to be fair, as we said, the signals are blocked by the bad guys. But how often has it been like, oh, there's a crisis, just beam them off the ship? We can't beam them off the ship. The transporters are offline. Well, that's just got to suck, doesn't it? What do you reckon,
We did
dude?
say, I think back in the first review we did of this for the first 2 episodes, we both joked that we're going to be hearing a lot of transporters offline because now they've got their personal teleporters that just, bounce them here, there, and everywhere. And that's exactly what happened. I chuckled when it said transporters offline on screen. I went, there we go. Of course, because why would they work? It's only the 42nd century or whatever it is, or 32nd. Okay, it's 32nd century.
Yeah.
Maybe by the 42nd century, they'll have figured out how to get transporters to work.
So what needs to happen is someone says, quick, transport them back. And someone else says, I'm not even going to bother trying because we just know they're not going to be working. I like it. Yeah, just call transporters or us. Yeah, totally agree. So obviously there's a bit of a crisis, right? The heroes are stuck on the ship, the Miyazaki. These other dudes have all turned up. And all of a sudden we get introduced into the bad guys. The Furies, which was an interesting sort of term. And it's not the band from the 1980s, which is also called the Furies, even though it's a different spelling. An aggressive human-alien hybrid species. I don't know what the deal is with that. They couldn't just be alien. They had to be a human-alien hybrid. So that's what Van said. So make of that what you want, what you will. And I'm trying to think, are they the Star Trek equivalent of the Reavers from Firefly, where they're always in pain and they're cannibals and all sort of rubbish? That's what I think was the inspiration for these guys, especially as we know this series has a tendency of borrowing from other shows. But I thought this was pretty groovy. And the idea that they're out of phase, and it's even hard to get a still picture of this, I actually thought that was actually quite good. And as bad guys, I thought that was actually very, very groovy.
Yeah, well, that is exactly what I was thinking. As soon as I saw them, I went, oh, that's just Reavers from Firefly. They've just completely knocked that off. Space cannibals. Obviously, they didn't go the full 9 yards of the Reavers. Those who have seen Firefly know that they're a lot more worse than just cannibals. I don't think Star Trek's ready for that just yet.
No.
But as soon as I saw them, I went, either you're looking at Reavers or you're looking at the horrors of Event Horizon are the two things that I sort of thought of. But I thought they looked awesome. I thought they were really well done. The special effects looked great. The character designs were awesome. And I kind of hope we see these Furies more in the series moving forward, that they become sort of this secondary antagonist. They're sort of feeling like the Gorn in Strange New Worlds, or, the Romulans or the Klingons in original series. Like, they're the sort of the new secondary monster sort of thing that we're looking at here. And I thought it worked really well.
It's kind of funny because they've introduced new bad guys. I thought off the top of my head that when they introduced new bad guys into Voyager, for example, the very first ones they introduced were the Kazon, right? Were just these dudes with this puffy hairstyle. And by comparison, those guys were pissweak compared to the Furies. But I really did like what they did with these guys. And it seems to work quite well. And the out-of-phase effect was actually very, very cool. So, yeah, it's it. But you are right. They're happy to show Tarima and Mia doing the bizzo at the start of the episode. No problems with that. But when it comes to having dudes getting chewed up or whatever, oh, no, we'll just edit those, out. But, it was actually very cool because we didn't know what was going to happen and what the deal was. And at this point, this is why I think the story worked, because we're following it along with our heroes. We don't know in advance what's going to occur. So, I thought that was kind of cool. And that's, of course, when they bring in Braca. So I like the idea that the three heroes, right, Aki, I've got to find out what the War College guy's name is, and Vance have this big, like, how are we going to fix this problem? They go through this massive discussion. It's a lot of exposition, but I really liked it. It really worked for me. And they got to bring, Nurse Braca back in. And I did like the idea that Starfleet intelligence is referenced. They're obviously still around. But this I thought was kind of cool. So we haven't seen him since the first episode, and he was a bit of a joker then. So they made him a lot more serious this time around. And it's almost like, dare I say, like a crazy version of Harry Mudd from the original series being brought back when something serious is going on. But I did like the idea that they're going to bring him in to the story because they've got a problem and only he can fix it. So he has a way of getting rid of the Furies, and they're going to just take one for the team and bring him on board, which I thought worked out quite well.
Yeah, well, at this point's where the story took a turn I didn't think it was taking. When watching it, was like, this whole Furies thing and that they're taken over, this is just a part of the training exercise to spook the kids and see how they work in a training situation. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. And stuff started getting serious. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, we're bringing in the bad guy from episode 1. Paul Giamatti, great actor. First episode we saw him in, bit of a joke. They downplayed him. It was sort of a comedic sort of character, and they were bringing him back, and I was thinking, okay, what are they going to do with him? But if we jump ahead, oh my God, does he kill it in this role? By the end of this episode, he just knocks that out of the freaking park. So to have him come back, very happy with what they did with him in this episode.
No, totally agree. Now, this is a slightly bad quality picture, but it was the only one I could find that was lit up. So apparently the Miyazaki set is actually the one from the Enterprise bridge from Strange New World. So I wasn't sure. They just redressed it. So I do believe both series were filming at the same time, and they just said, okay, we'll just steal the set and clean it up and mess it up and do whatever. So one of those sort of little fun factoids that even Rusky Babes would normally bring up. And I like the idea that, okay, so we've lost the other dude, Tomov, right? So we've got no defined leader. And this is a good example with our cadets, how they're going to cope with the crisis that they've got. And, of course, Mia's skills, as I've said there, are going to come to the fore. I did like the way this was handled because none of the guys on the ship went into Scream Queen mode, okay? They're aware that they're trapped on the bridge. They eventually figure out the force field thing. And it was actually really well thought out. Okay, they've got to try and get the singularity drive switch back on. There's a whole lot of problems with the computer and the ship's all gone ass about. And I thought they really thought that one through. So, and of course, that brings up one of the lines that you got to love. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Or the one, it's like Star Trek 2, the Wrath of Khan never goes away. There's always a reference somewhere in the world. So
it always is.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, absolutely love it.
Was really great to see the character development of these two War College guys. It was interesting they didn't put the Romulan girl in, but I think she's always been designed to be the annoying one, I think. So they didn't put her in there because obviously they've got the thing going on with the other guy and the Klingon. They've got that going on the side. They need to keep that going. And obviously they needed, spoilers, cannon fodder, which was interesting because they popped him in here and actually made him quite a sympathetic character. I actually really was like, I quite like this Vulcan guy. I don't know his name because I don't think they ever gave us a chance to learn it. But I really liked what was going on with him, and it was interesting to see that he's a Vulcan and he was obsessed with comic books. Would have thought that comic books were illogical, but anyway. But it was really cool to see that he had a backstory. He wasn't just another red shirt that was there for the taking. Obviously, we'll get to all that scenes later, but the way it played out was really good. And Mir obviously stepped into the natural captain mode that we've all said he's going to eventually end up going into the command thing and have the red stripe on him and whatnot. So, yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Guy said he's noticed how a lot darker the scenes are casted in such soft light, almost to the point of perpetual twilight. Yeah, it gives that sort of noir feel. I mean, right. Normally we see the bridges all lit up like Christmas trees. In this instance, they're all as dark as anything. So I think that kind of works. In another time and place, if this was all converted to black and white, it would probably look really, really cool. So with Sam, she plugs into the ship, right? I was like, oh, okay. And I thought, hang on, can she do this with any ship? So if that's the case, you'd have to put a lot of trust in her. So she could go back to the Athena and just go, well, I'll just stick my hand in the console and suddenly I'm learning how the ship works. So that was different. It was good that she was able to do this, but they've obviously said, oh, she needs a suit for when she's traveling around out in space, even though she doesn't need a suit at all. But hey, when we needed to plug into the computer, she just sticks her hand in there. She's good to go.
It worked really well to progress the story. But again, I think the writer's room have no idea what to do with Sam, how powerful to make her, how not powerful to make her. I think there hasn't actually been a meeting about Sam to say, right, these are the guidelines. This is what she can and can't do. Like they did, well, I'm assuming they did because it was handled very well with Data back in Next Gen and the Doctor back in Voyager. There were clear set guidelines of what they can and can't do. They had boundaries. Whereas Sam is almost like a god here. She
Mm.
can pretty much do anything that is thrown her way. And yeah, there's really no consequences. So it worked to progress the story in the sense that she could awaken the dead ship. But it does pose the question of when I think she inevitably goes off the deep end and turns all insane. Is she just going to hack into the system and blow everything up?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I don't think they've figured it out either. They're just making it up as they go along. So I don't know if you picked up on this, but I did, right? Because sick sense of humor, right? So when they've chewed up Tom off and kicked him out of the airlock, did you pick up on the joke? Originally, before when they were getting into the ship, he said he hadn't left the Athena in 6 months. Well, now he finally got off the ship. I don't know if you,
I didn't pick up on that, but yeah, at least he got his shore leave, I guess.
Yeah, he's missing the leg and arms and whatever. And they obviously had a bit of fun with him, but I couldn't help myself on that one. So yeah. Regarding Sam, I like this one from Michael. Yeah, AI quietly taken over the academy. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Effectively, that's what she is. So I thought that was actually kind of funny regarding Tom off. But yes, he did take one for the team and got in for doing that too. I also like the fact that at least the cadets are all going to experience this crisis in different ways. And this particular person completely lost her shit. And this also echoes Star Trek 2 when the Enterprise is attacked, because that was also full of cadets. And in that particular story, Scotty said that all the trainees ran, which you'd expect them to do, except for one, which was his nephew. But I really like that. At least they covered this off. What do you do? What do you do? Okay, take them away. Take it to medical bay, whatever. Give her a tranquilizer or whatever. But I did like that because everybody's going to react to this situation differently, and I thought that was actually really well handled. Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely. She's got the engineering and security color on, so I'm assuming she's probably more engineering if she is like that in the situation. But that's the thing. Not everyone who is at Starfleet Academy is there to train to be on a ship on the front lines, So while they have to go through all the training for it, she could very well want to be an engineer building starships back on Earth or wherever they're building starships these days. So yeah, it worked really well. Obviously, you had Cool, Calm, and Collective away team going off and acting like a full-blown Star Trek crew, which worked really well. But then it was good to see the opposite of that, where this woman's actually not even in that situation, but it is so traumatizing that, she had to go off and go to medical.
Well, I like how the guy had said that, like with the War College, they trained for this sort of stuff. And I thought, well, that's fair enough, even though they'd never experienced it before. And yeah, it's clear to see that everybody's sort of like just jumping into that and make things happen. And I agree with you regarding that particular crewman who couldn't handle it. Now, you were discussing earlier about Bracker. I reckon the writers must have spent ages just getting his dialogue worked out. Because you're right, he absolutely shines in this episode. Considering it's a series about the cadets and the trainees, none of them had dialogue as good as what this guy had. And I've got to say, when he had this line, right, ooh, that is a slippery cat's piss aftertaste. Mate, you cannot knock quotes like that. The quote that he says, where he's talking about the Furies, and they said, I've seen them pick a Klingon carcass clean, anus and all, asshole and all. I was like, where is this dialogue coming from?
Crazy.
Thought, absolutely fantastic. And I thought, that is magic. And I was like, good on him. Clicked the carcass clean, asshole and all. Jesus Christ.
For a show.
Yeah, brilliant.
For a show that is obviously trying to get a younger audience, they're clearly not trying to get a too younger audience. I think they're going for more the young adult vibe, because this episode was quite dark, and they're showing the dark side of Star Trek. So I think, they've obviously put a lot of more modernly colourful language into the series, and it was quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, one of the criticisms the show has is they're using a lot of the modern vernacular, which means that 10, 20 years from now, people are going to watch it and go, who the hell talks like that in the 32nd century? But, who's thinking that far ahead? It is for today. And a lot of his dialogue was based around modern terminology. So I think I heard the F word get used in there once too, but I couldn't find it on a second viewing. It was just slipped in somewhere. But Yeah, they obviously said, no, just cut loose, let him have a whale of a time with it. And as was mentioned here, it is some excellent writing once again for the senior people. And the enemy of my enemy is still my enemy. I thought that is a very, very apt line, actually. And if anything, the best sequences actually occurred between Aki and Braca. And I'm going to be bringing up a sequence later where he did all the talking and she didn't say anything at all. It's like that is ingenious when you think about it. She's just not intimidated at all. And then of course she swings it all around. But as we all know, it's all just a complete setup and it's all completely staged. So very, very clever. Now this, when it came up, there was two things I liked. One thing I liked about it, and I was like, get a load of this, right? So I like the idea that all the dialogue is focused. So there's no silly quips and yahoos and all the sort of like wanky shit that you find in Crises. But what is the deal with the damn light in the background? I mean, I know it's a red alert, but that is like right in your eyes. I mean, that is so damn annoying. I just don't get it. So they've done it so they can put lens flares in, okay, as we can clearly see there. But the point being, the original point, is that I've seen a lot of shows where people are in absolute do or die death moments, and they're all cracking jokes and high-fiving and all that, and they did not do that in this episode. They kept it down to an absolute minimum, and I was very appreciative of that because they could easily have lightened it up unnecessarily and made it look silly, but they didn't. So it was good.
Definitely. The techno-babble was on point in this part of the episode, but they made it work really well, and they had pretty good strategy, have them go slower than whatever to check the debris field, et cetera. So yeah, look, it worked really well. Again, we're seeing the blue guy sort of take the sideline for Genesis. So yeah, it's interesting to see that dynamic play out. I don't really know what they're going to do with him. Again, I don't think they've really had a meeting to say what's going to happen with each of these characters. But anyway, but yeah, that sequence was really good. But again, the lens flares, like, oh my God, J.J. Abrams, dude, come on.
It's just funny because in that sequence, I mean, you wouldn't have had a light. So we're sticking it right in the camera lens. It's usually above somewhere. But it's like, no, we want it right in the way, right? It's just blasting. Our f-stops are going completely apeshit. And it was like, oh my God, even though it's like, it's not logical to say we're in the middle of a red alert, but we're going to have this really bright red light shining in your face. Anyway, it's a stylistic choice. It's, yeah, exactly right. More lens flares. Regarding Braca's dialogue, Colin said, it wouldn't surprise me if his dialogue had been improvised. Maybe some of it was, because that slippery cast piss thing is like, that just, who writes that? I mean, that's just absolutely fantastic. And the Klingon carcass is like, that was an absolute ripper. Michael said, if they could get all the writing as good as Braca in this show, it would really take off. I totally agree. Especially when you consider the B story from last week, which was utter rubbish. Suddenly it's all like really, really picked up. And yeah, so that's the key thing. So yeah, the where the writing is good in this episode, which is mostly the entire episode, it really stands out. In fact, normally when these episodes appear, you go online and you find people just hanging shit on it everywhere. They, like last week, it was with Crag and the skirt and all whatever else. But this one's been very, very quiet. I think a lot of people said, yeah, that was really good. It was really, really good stuff. So yeah, absolutely love it. Yeah, even Greg said, the lens flares. I know it's a thing. We just have to deal with it. One of the other gags that they brought up was the comic book, Tales from the Frontier comic, right? And as you said, it was like comics in the 32nd century. What is the deal with that? But why? I don't get it. It's set on the Miyazaki, right? Why is it looking like the original series when it's set in the 32nd century? They weren't you wearing those uniforms in the 32nd century. That was actually from the Strange New World days and the original series days. In the 32nd century, those uniforms had long gone. So what is the deal with that?
Either stylistic because it's so iconic, or when they fed the AI art robot a thing to say, make a Star Trek looking comic book for our TV show. That's what it spat out. Who knows? There could have been a real artist behind it. It did look very good. But it could have also been that the prompt was just Star Trek. So yeah, it did look cool though. I wonder if all the art has been done, if it was done by a person, if they did do a whole comic, if that will be released. Tales of the Frontier, maybe we'll get to see this crew of the Miyazaki in action on comic pages. But yeah, it is interesting, especially a Vulcan reading comic books. I can just see Spock looking down on that, or even the elders on Vulcan. Like, you'd think that the teachers and everything at the university and whatnot would be like, yeah.
No. So Russell said, you're missing the point. That's like a Wild West comic would be to us. It's not. I personally don't have an issue with the fact that it's a comic. What I don't get is it's specifically a story of the Miyazaki crew, right? Specifically about
from
them.
a few years ago, yeah.
From a few years ago, before the burn, and they would not have been wearing those uniforms, right? They are gone. They are 24th century uniforms from the original series. So it makes no sense. So you're right. It would be wearing, reading a Wild West comic, but they're wearing suits and ties like we wear today. It doesn't add up. So, I mean, it looks good, but it's just, there's a massive disconnect. It's not a showstopper, but you're going to wonder, it's like, why didn't they just stick him in 32nd century costumes? Especially when the Discovery gets into the 32nd century, we can clearly see the uniforms for the Federation totally different. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But even in Star Trek, there's always room to steal a Hunger Games reference. The odds are not in your favor. I don't know if you picked up on that or not. And sunglasses. Mate, they got the Ray-Bans going on as well. What is the deal with that? We never see sunglasses in Star Trek, and suddenly, there we go. What do you reckon, dude?
Oh, man, the Geordie LaForge's goggles got a major upgrade by the time it rocked the 32nd century. You're talking real cool looking Top Gun vibes. Maybe there was a solar eclipse out the window and they had to wear them with the little pinholes in it so they didn't go blind. Who knows? But yeah, look, I liked the look of the comic, but I do wonder maybe was it AI generated with all of these rumors going around the show? Who knows?
Well, if it is AI generated, they clearly didn't feed in the data. It is set in the 32nd century, not the 24th century. So anyway, look, it doesn't matter, and it did look cool. And I think later on we actually see a hard copy version of the comic as well, which I'll discuss and bring up. So we started to discover that Terima is connected with Tamir through the Force, which I thought was kind of cool. This kind of all worked. She's obviously got the connection going with him. I had no problem with that at all. And from a purely understanding from the audience's point of view, it's good that she makes a physical appearance. I think I had no issue with that at all. And it does go whoosh. I love the fact that Bracker holds up the Enterprise NX-01 and goes whoosh. Freaking grouse. How good was it?
We all would, though. As soon as you pick up an Enterprise toy, you go shh. You fly it around, and that's exactly what he was doing. And going back to the comment earlier, maybe it was improvised. Maybe they just let him loose on the set. They gave him a general, here's where you start, here's the middle, and here's the end. Do whatever you want and just mess around. And maybe that was him just mucking about with a starship. But you would if you saw a massive, starship statue thing in the middle of an office. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, love it. So, and once again, I might be like repeating myself, but for a series that is primarily based around the cadets, some of the best writing in the entire series is all from one person talking to another person who doesn't speak. And this was ingenious, right? Because he does all the talking, talks about the loss of Aki's son, which is all news to us, right? And that she stayed on her ship and he died on his or whatever. He then learns that Mia is on the Miyazaki and is like, oh my God, it's history repeating itself. She's about to lose another son. And through the entire time in front of him, she doesn't crack. And I was so impressed. Now, when his back is turned to her, she reacts, but face on, nothing, right? And she says later on to Vance, it was all part of the mind games thing that he was playing. But geez, I tell you what, you're looking at her in this thinking, you've done well to just hold your shit together when you're getting bombarded with all this information. It was very, very impressive. And I got to say, this really did push some buttons.
Yeah. Look, we've been talking about how good the acting from Paul Giamatti was, but oh my God, like even with no lines, the performance she gave was brilliant. And yeah, it was one of those scenes where you're like, wow, okay, they're really putting the chops in on this one. They've really got it going. I'm really glad they didn't do a terrible reveal like I thought they were going to do, that he's actually her son somehow. I thought they were going to pull some crap like that. Thank God they didn't, because it would have just ruined it. But yeah, it was just absolutely stellar to see. Yeah.
Well, once he learned that Mia was on the Miyazaki, his entire, as in bracket, his whole mindset changed, and he just he just couldn't believe it. And you can understand from his perspective, it's like, oh my God, what are you doing to yourself? And of course, she's a Lathanite, And there is, as he said, there's no words like done and end in a language because like they go on forever. So if you have a traumatic experience, you're gonna be living it for thousands, potentially hundreds, thousands of years. So yeah, I can see where he's coming from. It was really, really well thought out. So yeah, all power to the writing team for putting that one together, and their performances, both as you said, Holly, and she just had to sit there and take it. And I thought, oh, freaking awesome. You got to put a joke in whenever you get a chance. I like this one about the Furies. I don't know what people are afraid of. They're mostly armless. The idea that the force field comes up and cuts his arm off, I actually thought was pretty good. So they're getting through. Everything makes logical sense regarding the story, trying to figure out how do we deal with this situation? How do we get everybody off the bridge, off the Miyazaki? How do we get the singularity drive started up again? It all was well thought through. There's a bit of techno babble in there, but by and large, there wasn't any like something that you go, that's complete rubbish. What is the deal with that? Like he could have easily had a scenario where they say, oh, Sam, you're a hologram. You've plugged into the ship. Now, can you just reappear, transport yourself over to the engineering and get the ship working or whatever? They didn't do anything silly like that. And I thought that was really, really good. Another thing that sort of came up as well is that Starfleet has a base, J19 Alpha, where they're developing new weapons. So even though the Federation has had to rebuild itself from scratch, some things never change, dude. They're just like, no, we need to find a way to build weapons, even though I don't know if they've even got any enemies at this point that are as threatening as what the Klingons once were and what the Romulans once were, even the Gorn for that matter, or the Borg. So you do wonder what the mindset is for doing this, having a special space station where they're developing new weapons. But I thought, well, there you go. You do wonder if people like Aki and that were even aware that such a place even existed. I don't think they did. And it's like, well, there you go, dude. What do you reckon?
Felt very Area 51.
You beat me to it. I was about to say that, actually. Yes.
Yeah. It, Area 51, Section 31, we see it in every show. There's always the secret scientific base that's building doomsday weapons, and, how it's going to play out. As soon as they showed it, I went, well, that place is going to backfire on at some point. Obviously, by the end of it, we see that it does. But it's interesting, for all this talk of that they're now moving away from all of the war stuff and moving more into peace. It's interesting to see that they've still got that open as a backup plan to fall back on. And obviously it's come back to bite them by the end of the episode. But yeah, it was cool. I wish we had have seen it. But, maybe we'll see it in the future. I doubt it, but it would be really, really cool.
So it's very funny because in the original Star Trek, like Gene Roddenberry had set it up, it was like the ultimate of a utopia. And it wasn't until you get to Next Generation, they start introducing things like Starfleet intelligence and whatever else. And of course, by DS9, they're building extra weapons, the Defiant, whatever else. And it just goes to show that even though you might be a peaceful exploration group, someone somewhere is thinking ahead on what if exploration goes a bit cockeyed? And we have to deal with aggressors out there, and we have to sort of like have places like this that do develop weapons or are trying to find out what's going on with the enemy. And even though, and I agree with this one, actually from Mick, peace through superior firepower. And unfortunately, these things are a bit of a necessity now, even though at this stage, there's no, aside from the crime syndicates in this particular era in the 32nd century, obviously, the Federation have learned from the past and go, we do actually need weapons, even if there are no bad guys now, but they may still turn up. So, I reckon people like Aki and people like Thok and all those guys be going, friggin', we didn't know this was even here. So, interesting stuff. So it is history repeating itself in many, many ways. So, and of course, it all goes pear-shaped for them towards the end. And that, of course, is the big twist. And because, they obviously brought Bracker in thinking he could scare off the Furies, but they're all working hand in hand with each other. I don't know if you saw this one coming. I actually didn't. It didn't connect with me at all. I actually thought that I was following the story along and go, I'm believing everything I'm seeing. Did you get sucked into it at all? Did you think it was telegraphed and what the big reveal was?
I was a bit surprised because the way that you had Paul Giamatti, seemed genuinely scared of these things. And the way they were talking about it, it seemed like he had somehow struck a deal with them to get him off his back, and he was just running from him, and he was scared. So when it came up and it was that, massive double cross and he was, working the whole time. His ship was just there ready to, grab the Furies and blast off. It worked out really well, and you could see that he knows Starfleet quite well if he was able to telegraph that they were going to bring this, fancy silver ship from the Area 51 to here and blast it to pieces, as shown in the photo there. So I didn't see it coming at all, which I was really happy with, because that doesn't happen very often, especially in something like Star Trek.
It's a possibility. I don't think they would have done this, but it's a possibility they said to the actor, this is all your dialogue, and you are afraid of them because in the story you are. And then the bit at the end where he does the big spiel to her, that's all done afterwards. So he actually thought for real, oh yeah, the Furies are actually my enemy. I am actually afraid of them, and not telling the truth. Unlikely, but
possibly
not beyond. Yeah. So dude, you are shit scared of these guys for real? And he goes, yeah, I am, because the script says so. Because he hasn't got the last couple of pages. Colin actually said, Bracker's double cross was brilliant writing. Personally, I did not pick up the deception. Makes her a great lead for future episodes. Yeah, exactly right. So clearly, Bracker has teamed up with the Furies. Where's that going to go is anybody's guess. And they do steal something, in particular, off the station. So they stole technology, but there was something they were looking for. So, who knows where that's all going to leave. That could be, hopefully, with a bit of luck, a season finale moment. So everything's going down on the ship, on the Miyazaki. Shit is not looking good. Sam cops one. If I can get my thing to pop up. Oh, yep. Sorry, my computer's fallen asleep. Sorry, give me a second.
It's up.
You still with me?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Sam experiences her first Automan moment. Now, I personally don't know what the heck an Automan is. So you're going to have to explain that to me.
Oh, we've gone through a technical problem. How about that? Hang on. Give me a second. You okay there? You still with me, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So I have experienced a technical issue. You're frozen on my screen, so I'm
okay. No, I'm still here.
Broadcasting. We're having internet problems. So there you go. Hang on, is this going to pop up now?
It's just me on the stream, everyone. It is all on me. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Hi, everyone. I think we're going to have to start talking some Docky Who in a second if he doesn't pop back online. Yeah. Well, let's to it. Let's chuck it to the comments. Out of 10, what do you guys think of the episode? Thank you, Colin. Colin has popped a comment on here saying that Automan was a TV show from the 80s. I wouldn't have known that. I have never heard of Automan. No idea. But yes, there you go. 8.5 from Mick is saying 8.5. That's pretty high praises. Colin says 101. That is way higher than a 10, but okay. Brilliant. The episode was really, really good. I'm looking forward to seeing how many more we get in future like this. I can see here Colin has now said 11. Guy has said Dags has lost his feed. Yes to Docky Who. Brilliant. We are, for those who saw last night, we are getting ready to torture Dags with some more Docky Who. We've got Seeds of Doom all lined up, ready to go. So I'm looking forward to making him endure that, hopefully this weekend. And then we can try to get his thoughts on it. Whether he actually does it or not, I don't know. But yes. Well, I don't know where the rest of these slides are, because I was looking forward to talking about, obviously, the death that pops up, which we've been talking about quite a lot on this series so far. No one has of importance has really carked it yet. Obviously, we had the guy at the start of the episode. We only just met him. Seemed like a cool dude, whatever. But by the end of it, you've got the Vulcan. out of nowhere, dead. Wild scene, quite a bit of blood for a Star Trek thing, a bit of a brutal death, and obviously Sam gets, I don't know, immobilized in some way or another. But yeah, it was very cool. Oh, Dax is back. There you go. Oh,
were we broadcasting that entire time? Were we?
Yeah, I've been talking. Well, I've been asking the fans some questions. We've got Mick gave the episode an 8.5. Colin gave it an 11. Everyone wanted some Docky Who. Guy's now saying yes, back to Trek for now. Lol. Greg was really loving the Docky Who there for a minute. I said we're going to have to do some Seeds of Doom with you on the weekend, but no, we're back. I was just talking about how cool it was to see the Vulcan get murdered, but I guess we're getting to that slide in a sec. So, yeah, here we go.
Everything just crashed at my end. I don't even know what happened. So I thought, oh my God, I was trying to get back in. I do apologize for that. Yeah. How's that? Oh, well done, dude. So
get a little dags. I don't like Docky Who.
Yeah. Oh gosh, tell you what, that's actually embarrassing. That is, I've never actually had that experience before. So I don't know what happened there, guys, but we seem to have lost it. Anyway, I'm going to keep plowing on. Where are we? So I just got to say that I like how Sam experienced the first Automan moment. If you remember Automan, he was a digital dude.
I don't, but Colin filled me in. I did say that I have no idea what an Automan is. I believe it was Colin that chucked that in the comments and said, "Yeah, TV show from the '80s."
Oh yeah. Well done. Yeah.
Never heard of it, but yeah.
No, you wouldn't. Oh my God, how about that?
Yeah.
Oh, jeepers creepers. I don't know what the deal was with that. Just spun me out. Anyway, so let's get on. So Terima loses it big time. It was like using the voice from Dune. So
to me, it felt more Black Canary from the DC comic. It was, I think, the exact same preset special effect that they probably have on Adobe Premiere. We obviously saw this in the trailer, but it was pretty damn cool. We've never seen this happen to a Betazoid before. It's going to be very interesting to see where this goes from here. And they did mention before that, before they let her go in, that's why her father's deaf.
Yep.
Because she blew out his eardrums when she was a kid, which is a very interesting little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of a fact in her past that they've added in there, and it brings a bit more of a layer of humanity to the father, who obviously loved both of his kids in the episode that we saw him, but yeah, he seems a pretty forgiving guy. Yeah, Mick, yeah. Well, with all the flowers around her, hay fever was acting up. Might need a Claritine, I think, is the
Yeah, no, exactly right. But so actually, you think now that she has this power, you think Starfleet intelligence would be keen to harness her skills and ship her off to some dark dungeon on J19 Alpha or whatever it's called, and to learn more about what she can do and to see whether they can harness that power or use it or transplant it to somewhere else. Because typically that's what happens when somebody goes, oh, you could do something that no one else can do. What can we do with that? Because imagine, it's like those movies where they say we want to. Actually, there was a TV series based on the Institute, I think it was. Where they're trying to get all the kids to use their psychokinetic abilities to assassinate people in different countries. It was called the Institute, I think. So yeah.
Or it's almost like Summer Glau's character in Firefly.
Oh, mate, they've tea-leafed it from that. So there you go. Nothing's original anymore, dude.
Nothing's sacred. No.
I like this one. We had the big wrap-up, right? So J19 was attacked and technology was stolen by Braca. They did mention the Discovery collected the escape pods. I thought that was kind of cool. But clearly, it did not end well, and the Federation has copped a bit of an ass-kicking over this one. And I thought this was really well handled. No mucking around. Like even Vance is cracking the shits over. It's like, dude, well, it is what it is, dude, and you're just going to have to deal with it. So, it was good. It was good that they did this, actually. And, of course, Braca leaves a message for Aki. And some of his comments actually echo real-world sentiments, especially these days with the East versus the West scenario. In other words, that superiority complex that he feels the Federation has. And if you really wanted to apply to the current state of the world, whether it be Russia and America or Israel and Palestine, you can. It fits in beautifully, actually, which is a bit of a concern. So I don't know if that was intentional or not. But I was very impressed. The thing that I picked up on, though, I don't know if you noticed this, is that when he says to her, "I hate you," he has his eyes closed. And in human communication and emotion, the mindset is that if somebody speaks and they have their eyes shut, it means they don't believe what they're saying, right? And he has his eyes closed. So maybe he's saying he hates her, but he doesn't. And I don't know if you've ever picked up on this before, but when people say, I think you're a cool guy, and I have your eyes shut, it means you're lying because you can't face the person when you're telling them what is supposedly the truth. So you're actually telling a fib. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I did pick up on that. So
I think Bracker finally sees her as his, or not finally, like he always has, but in the sense that she is the first person that is his equal. In the sense, like, it is his perfect adversary, and I think he is probably pretty damn thrilled about it.
Yeah, he certainly. I mean, it was good that he left that particular speech, and it was. Yeah, he should have a lot of thinking to do after that. The biggest thing about this episode, our first cadet fatality, because we lost Tom off earlier, but we finally lost the dude, and I think that was good that they did that. I don't. If you were to say who do you think is going to lose it first, I don't think anybody would have picked the Vulcan.
No.
But I thought that was actually really well done, really well handled, actually. So yeah.
It was very well done. I think it perfectly sets up everything going forward. I think it's going to lead his best friend from the War Academy straight into the arms of the Klingon guy. Obviously, they've bonded over the trauma. And I think it also unites the Academy and the college together. They have now lost someone, although it was just on the War College's side. These people on the Academy side who, depending on the way you look at it, they are the leaders of the aggressors from the War College side. They're the ones that they're mainly going up against. And now that they have a respect for this guy that's dead, maybe it's going to bring the two teams closer together to face this adversary that is Bracker, who, when we first saw him, I thought was probably going to suck majorly. But now that we've seen him, he's actually a pretty good big bad in this episode.
No, I tend to agree with you. So all the antics we saw in the past few episodes where it's been like the line, you're on this side, you're on that side, that's all gone now. And they'll be a bit more focused. And maybe there might be a bit more respect for the War College, considering now we're into conflict. I tend to agree with you. And I think that'll be... so that would justify all the silliness we saw in the past couple of episodes between the two groups and the thing at the start with the Audrey 2s and whatever, just to set up, well, it was all fun and games back then. Now it's gotten serious and we've lost people. All right, put all the silliness aside. Now we're going to focus on what everything's all about. We love talking about the props that they're going to make replicas for Timu. Clearly, the comic, you mentioned this earlier, is going to be the go. As to why the guy had a comic in the first place and a hard copy one at that, it's anybody's guess. It looks like it needs to be slabbed. It's all a little bit moth-eaten and busted up. But there you go. What are the chances, old son? They actually had one on hand.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, geez, you'd want to, recycle that through the replicator and get a new copy. But I guess, he never did. I guess it was his copy from when he was a kid, and that was the whole idea. He read it growing up, and that's what made him want to join Starfleet or the War College, because Starfleet didn't really exist then. So yeah, it was a touching moment, and obviously it was his best friend who put it there. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. I'm really hoping they don't this week just do another comedy episode.
Yeah,
I hope that we've got 4 episodes to go. I hope that shit is getting serious now. I hope that that's where they're going. They are really just wanting to just get this 4 episodes. You got 4 episodes to go, guys. Let's stick the landing.
No, I totally agree with you on that one too. So keep it, because clearly at the end of this episode, everybody's miserable. No one's happy. I mean, look at this. I thought, do they have to call it Orson? Because remember last week we called it Orson from Cask to fix Sam, and I was wondering who's this dude? He's clearly like he's got his what do you call the thermal regenerator out and is about to fix her. I was like, he's saying, yep, she's pretty juicy fruited. How are we going to fix that? So hopefully that be curious to see how they tackle that one, or whether Sam is still busted next week. So we'll have to wait and see. But that I thought was really intriguing. Also, the biggest one will be Terima, right? So as you said, she's in critical condition, and she's used her powers to kill. So when she wakes up, and I did like the idea that she ripped the bloody thing out of her neck. I thought that was very well done. She's going to be busted lady. So she's got this power she couldn't control. She's killed sort of other life forms, and you don't know how she's going to tackle that one. So yeah, there's a fair bit going on with that. And of course, as we just said a moment ago, all the fun and joviality of the recent episodes, it's all gone, and it's like reality's hit these guys big time. So in context, what we've seen in the past few weeks has actually made a lot of sense, right? You're saying, well, why can't we get to some serious stuff? Now we got to some serious stuff, and I agree with you. They've got 4 episodes to keep the serious stuff going. So you do wonder what direction this show is going to take. So, pretty cool.
Well, as I said at the beginning, I've got an idea of probably where they're going to go. I think one of these 4 episodes is going to be her still in a coma, and Mia is going to go into her head. I'm putting my money on it now. It is the most obvious thing they could do. There's been a million other sci-fi shows that have done this before, where they, send in the other person into her head. It's going to be a thing. He's probably going to be sleeping, and she's going to be communicating through his dreams, and then he's going to realize it's not a dream and it's a real thing, and then all of a sudden they're going to do a whole episode where he's on a table right beside her, plugged into her brain to bring her out of her own head. And I think that's either going to be this episode or the next episode, unless they just have her wake up, which would be friggin' wild. But I think we're going to get a Mira inside Tamira's head episode.
Unless they contact some of the Bajoran people, say, hey, can you come along and bring the jumper leads and restart her or something. And just finally, so in the end, this has been a very, very tough lesson for Aki, and I like this last shot when they did a big pullback. Now, Brackett did make a comment about saying he's left a special gift for her and she'll have no idea what it is. I don't know, maybe it's unlikely, but it wouldn't be funny if it's related to the flowers that were in front of her. But remember, she left the room and left him behind. So he was there by himself. So it would be funny if that had something to do with it. And this is just telegraphing what that special gift might be. But, that's how the episode finished. And I thought, all power to him. That was really good. And, went in directions I don't think anybody saw coming, dude. So what do you reckon? All good?
I wonder if the gift has something to do with her son. I wonder if the son survived and went on and had a kid with Tatiana Massali's character, and it's Mia. What if Mia's her grandson? Who knows? This is just stupid conspiracy, what they do on a, daytime soap. But it is Star Trek 90210, as everyone's saying, so who knows what's going to happen. But who knows what the gift is? Who knows what they're going to do? So, great way to end the episode. Great episode overall. It was really, really, really good.
Yeah, so I really liked a couple of weeks ago the Klingon one. I thought that was well done, even though the B story in that.
I think that was probably the best one. I think
until this one is just really nailed it. I loved it. I thought this was great. It had everything you needed. It actually had tension and proper drama. It actually had some spaceship fights. It actually had people dying on screen, and a certain amount of unpredictability. A lot of good twists in the plot. And we got to learn something new about all the characters. And I thought, all power to them. I reckon it was good stuff. So after what I thought said it was one of the best episodes 2 weeks ago, this has now overwritten that, I think. So, absolutely loved it. So
there you go.
It's very, very cool. Yeah, good stuff. That actually brings us to the end of us, even though we had a bit of a breakdown in technology there for a little while. Now, we didn't get to do this last week.
It was just you who had the breakdown in technology. We were all still here. We were all having a...
You know what? Hey, just be thankful I came back. You could have been here for hours just crapping on about nothing. Talk about freaking...
I don't know how to end this stream.
Yeah, I know what you would have done. You would have said, I'm going to talk about Docky Who, because that's what's coming up next week. So for those who don't know, don't forget, guys, next Tuesday, the lads are back to talk about the Who Report, yada, 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 bullshit, 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 who really cares? But there you go. Keep your eyes open for that. Been very, very good. And in the interim, very important, got to talk about Aaron Storr because he's not here. Dude, you can have a bit of a yap about that very quickly.
Yes, it has been nuts. There are still more collections coming in. Aaron does not know what to do with himself. He said a few weeks ago that they've gotten more stuff in over the last month and a half, in this new year than they had in 6 months. And that has just continued to happen. People have not stopped bringing stuff into the shop. So there's heaps of new items that have come in. We've also got a Docky Who guest in a couple of weekends on the 28th of February. So if you're a Docky Who fan and you don't know about that, we've got Louise Jameson coming into the shop for an hour. The details are on the Aaron's Collectibles socials. But yeah, come on down to the shop, take a look. There is so much new stuff. We've got a massive collection of the, I think it was Eagle Moss Star Trek ships have just come in, a huge lot of them. So if you're missing any of those, if you collected them the first time round, we got tons. So yes, come on in, come say hi, and yeah.
Very good. And just quickly, I know this will be over in a couple of weeks, so you can take a chill pill. Don't forget, we've got a big, huge trivia night coming up on March the 7th. Not just Star Trek, but also other franchises as well, which should be very, very cool. Well, obviously, this is for people in Victoria, Australia, which is particularly cool. Check it out if you have the chance. Mr. Nick, we finally got there in the end. It was a big episode. Absolutely very, very cool stuff. Is there anything you want to say before we shove off for this evening?
No, that's all. Thanks for keeping me company, guys, when Dags decided to step out of the room. But great to have you all here. Really awesome to have a chat about Star Trek, and look forward to doing it again next week.
Good stuff. All right, in that case, then, fans, we're going to party hard. We're past halfway of the season now. So we've only got, as you said, 4 episodes to go. Should be interesting to see what happens next week with all the tragedies that occurred this time around. So we'll join you all next Wednesday to talk about Star Trek a little bit more. So for that, for now, ta-da.